All right, Team White, Fischer random. Where do we go? Time to think this one through. He's not... I don't need to move him. I just need to move the pawn, and he's already happy. He's already happy, happy, happy. Duck Dynasty style, right? What about f4? He's opened. The rook is happy a little bit. everybody's happy. Okay, what are my other considerations? Isn't this beautiful, right? I'm playing white, my clock is not ticking, and I get to just brainstorm this initial position. All right, let's maybe... he's garbage right here. Let's start with this one. Oh, actually, one of the first things I do is identify what's unprotected. This is unprotected, so this is another reason to start out with this. Queen takes a7 on move 2. You can't do that in regular chess. So I could grab him if I want. But you know what I'm going to do? Not grab him. I think he's poisoned. Don't grab those poison pawns. Now, why is he poisoned, you might ask? Do you know how difficult it is to answer a why question? Any Richard Feynman fans? Queen takes a7, knight b6, rook a8. I mean, I could run away, but I think I'm greatly inconvenienced. So I don't want to be inconvenienced. Well, hang on. Yeah, let's go here. For a brief second, I thought about this, but then maybe black can do similar with f5 striking at my pawn, and maybe, well, they'd have the same issue if the queen's grabbing here, but okay, we could forget about these pawn grabs. Do I have any concern about the knight jumping in my territory? I don't think so. I'm going to do this, place a pawn in the center, not just to place a pawn in the center, but I'm doing this to potentially shut the door on the bishop. For if f5, then there comes e5, and he's kind of stuck. My knight, you know what? I'm going to keep these guys sitting as is. Keep them right there. Knight c3 seems like a perfect spot. Then this. And where exactly do I think I'm going to castle? Queenside might not be a bad idea, and I could do that as soon as my knight is on c3. Let's get him there. Well, hang on. Maybe I could consider this. I am opening up this diagonal, though. Hang on for a second. Knight c3, d4 are my candidate moves. Well, you know what? I still want to be in a spot to meet f5 with e5. Right now, with this square being controlled, f5 cannot be met with e5. I'd be dropping a pawn, or at least I think. So let me do this. I am weakening this square. The knight could hop to it. My bishop is... I have a light square bishop that can control this square, but notice where he is. He's in the corner. He's on the king's side, so we view the board in sections, quadrants. Bishop that's kind of over here on the king's side, light square bishop, he's not going to be too helpful. So creating light square weaknesses, such as the c4 square, you might want to consider. But I don't know, I feel like I'd be able to kick him out, or at least challenge him with like knight d2, or even knight to e3. Not quite sure what he wants to do. It's an interesting position. Just these two diagonals he could be coming out at. Okay, so he's hit. Now I think it's time to move my pawn just a single step, because I may still want to castle kingside, even though I've moved these pawns. It's almost like a kingside fianchetto. I really would have to clear out these three pieces. I think what's more likely is a queenside castle. So I need only move my knight to somewhere. This guy. Drop my king on my rook, and then he ends up here. Okay, just under 3 minutes for my opponent. Bad, but slow, my opponent. So I guess they're really trying to get this move in. And I might be able to clog up this position. I'm really considering this, since they kind of shut the door on their bishop. Maybe I could do this, grab some space, clamp down on this square. maybe. Or how about this? Let's consider this one with tempo, but maybe I'm kicking the bishop to a spot that's a little bit annoying. I'm going to go here. Maybe on my next turn I'll consider this, so that I now don't have to worry about a counter-attacking bishop to b5 move. About even on time. Queenside castle seems like the right way to go. Alright, so we are having this. I don't want to capture. I think capturing simply helps mobilize rook and bishop. So I'm just going to, I think I want to do this. Grab some space, do so with tempo. And, well, maybe I could even consider this. I really might want to consider that. Yeah, this is starting to become a bit more appealing the more I look at it. I realize takes, he's not going to be a problem, but what else can I do? See, if I don't do this, maybe this move comes and these guys come right to life. So, you know what, I am... hang on. No, I'd have something good for that. I was thinking for a second about if takes, there is queen g5, but I have a convenient reply, bishop d2, counterattack. I do have to be careful. This pawn is kind of viewing it right now as being unprotected. So let me get here. The bishop's trying to get on this diagonal, so I'm going to try to get there first. Well, not try, I am. But like I was going to say, this pawn, it's attacked twice, it's defended twice. In my mind, it's unprotected. So I'm looking at other moves that could be attacking it again. Queen g5 was one of them, maybe the only one, but something to look into. Okay, and now I really don't see a reason not. Well, yeah, the bishop's ready to play here. Let me get castled. My bishop could use what was I going to say? My bishop could go somewhere else. I mean, right now it's just a one-directional. It's just focusing on this one diagonal. Here, he starts to form an X. Bishop to f3, g4 are my candidate moves. I'm going to go with g4. You take towards the center, I take towards the center. I have a strong grip right here. I have what you can say... I have a space advantage in the center and on the queen side. Well, actually the whole board. This structure right here is really claiming space in every which way. It's very difficult to work around that. Let me take and get my queen a bit more active. Hitting the knight right now. As a follow-up, I just want to make sure I don't have to worry about this. Let's get him here. If this file opens up, I could eventually be gaining a tempo on the queen now that she's on h7. There is knight c4 still, but I don't see a move that's tied in well with this. This would be incredibly weakening if you're going to support it with b5. It's not being supported. He's just gone. Bishop b5 is not there. Let's take rook h1 now that this file is completely open. Take towards the center. My king still isn't on open diagonal, but I'm not seeing anything that could really be harmful to me right now. In fact, with this space advantage on the king side, well, just this extra piece, really, I'm going to try to put it to use. There's really not a need to even come over here. I'm looking to pinpoint b7. A knight on this edge of the board is very, very annoying. If he's ever kicked, he just enters an even more annoying square. So I'm threatening mate on b7. That's it. Just hunt the king down. No time, no position at this point. Checkmate is the threat at that point. Alright, he's down on time. Good game. Let's go back, and like before, let me bring up this game like so we get to see the a bigger board. Yeah, I think these are poison pawns. This is not the first time that I've seen this come about when playing Fischer random. But grabbing here, these moves like knight b6 with rook a8 already looking to trap the queen. I think it's strictly a pawn grab that you shouldn't go for. I don't even know if you are winning a pawn. It may turn out that black gets the pawn back and does so with a rook, who's, you know, there's not going to be a worry of a rook getting trapped on a2 unless some piece could like camp out on a3. But it's just not happening. With the queen, however, it's a bit scary. So neither of us bite. Well, I didn't bite with grabbing a7. And I wonder if there's actually even a better start right here. Instead of this, you could always just do this move, f5. Keep things and just play symmetrical for at least right now. It's not a bad move. Definitely not a bad move. Controls a center square. If he's ever capturing, your rook comes to life. That's kind of my idea when I do this pawn move in front of my rook. But you have this. But I end up starting to get a really good center. I wonder if it already becomes very important, you know? Like, instead of moving your knight, well, maybe there is some concern about me actually grabbing this, but I don't think it's even still there. Takes knight here, I'm looking to trap the queen, and then this, you get it back. So maybe you could go forward with a move you did play, but one move sooner. You played knight b6 and then d6, but I wonder about playing d6 right now, and then, well, maybe even f5 right now, still f5. Yeah. That way he's never really going to get shut out of the game. If I'm to shut the bishop out of the game, if you have the pawn on f5, if I'm ever going to have thoughts of shutting the bishop down with my pawn structure, I'd end up having to play d3, e4. You could take, I could take, and then finally I could do this. But it's, I don't even know if that would be a good thing to shoot for, but it definitely takes more work. You're not having to deal with a group of 3 pawns, d4, e4, f4, as was the case in the game. And so maybe this f5 move would just be a good one right now, just like I did. I'll eventually have to do similar. You play g6, I'll end up having to do something with my g pawn. But I think he needed to get working. What did he end up doing in the game? He ended up playing to f6. And these are, well, now that I have this center, it gains in strength because there's now the possibility for that strong center to advance now with tempo, grab some space. There's not really a way that you could undermine it. If there's a way to undermine a center, you really need to do so in a timely fashion. So if I have a center like this and I'm given time to reinforce it with my pieces, there's not really going to be compensation. You really need to strike while the iron's hot, is what I'm getting at. So I have a center, you really need to strike at it really soon. Maybe it's already starting to be a little bit too late. Before I even consider something like this, maybe it's already quite critical. From a strategical standpoint, you need to play that pawn up to f5. Some Fischer random positions could certainly be more critical than others, and I think this already started to become quite critical very early on. I don't know. My best suggestions are the ones that are coming early on in this configuration with this arrangement we ended up working with. It's I know you ended up dropping a piece, and then I grabbed on b7. It's the typical domino effect. You lose one piece falls, the others are easy to fall thereafter, and it's really getting all the way back to playing f5. I'm pretty sure before I'm even at this point right here, before I'm even at this point. instead of the knight move, f5. I mean, I know we're only at move 2, but yeah. Okay, I'm not sure what else to really say. Okay, good game.